Oh, it's a Monday to cap the biggest season in NFL history, 272 games done. And they really did save the best for last. I don't want to get caught up in the whole recency bias thing, Mike Golic, but that was a damn good game last night. And good morning.
That was good morning to you, Mike. And that was what a fantastic finish. As you mentioned, used to pick 256 games all the time. Now it was 272. And that last kick in the air, and by the way, Daniel Carlson doesn't miss at home. I mean, he doesn't even put any drama into it. You know he's going to make it. But that kick, it's amazing. You practice for all those hours. You game plan for all those hours. You do everything for all those hours. And one kick decides three teams' fate, right? Puts the Raiders in, knocks the Chargers out, and puts Pittsburgh in. Because for a while there, I know you had to think it, and everybody was thinking it. The unthinkable was going to happen. They were going to play to a tie, and both the Chargers and the Raiders would have been in, and the Steelers would have been out last night. That would have been an unbelievable ending, and I thought we were getting that.
Yeah, it was almost a little bit of an homage to Bill Parcells. This is why you lift all them weights. But really, it is. It's why you do every single thing, every moment, every thought, every film that you watch, every play that you review, every move that you make. It comes down to something that nutty. And look, the NFL and NBC loves to have that last game essentially be a playoff game. But there's no playoff game that affects three teams. We got last night something we've never seen before, with the Steelers' fate directly tied to the one tie that everybody but the Steelers would have been fine with. That's what was so amazing about it. You know, it felt like the plane was landing just kind of gradually and inevitably on that tie. And then they pulled up, and it changed the vibe, and it changed the dynamic. We'll be talking about that over the course of the next 2 hours. But that's what made the memorable night even more memorable. Final score of 35-32. Raiders win. They're in. Chargers lose. They're out. No tie. Steelers in. And I still feel like I'm recovering from everything that went on. And so much of Justin Herbert's performance is going to get lost in the final outcome. Mike, look. This kid's the real deal. Those drives down 29-14 in the fourth quarter. Those two drives, it just felt inevitable. And just move it to fourth down. Just make every play fourth down. They're converting every fourth down. Forget about first, second, and third. They can't do anything on those plays. Just put it on fourth down. It's unbelievable. And I hope we don't forget how great Justin Herbert was last night, even though his team didn't win.
Yeah, most people will, because now we move on to the playoffs and they're no longer in play. So unfortunately, people will forget about it. That's the nature of the game. And the amazing thing about it, Mike, was they weren't like 4th and 2. I mean, they were perfect at going incomplete, and being 4th and 10. They were 6 of 7 on fourth down conversions. The only one they didn't make was when they did it on their own 18-yard line. But when they needed him the most at the end, they were 4th and longs, and they were getting it done a couple of times, barely getting it done, but got it done nonetheless. So you kind of felt, okay, were they playing with fire too much? Was that eventually going to run out? Or were they going to be able to put it in the end zone? And that's exactly what they did with the 12-yard pass to Mike Williams after, a play is getting reviewed. Was that a catch at the 12-yard line? Which it was. As soon as you saw the replay, you saw it was, because it would have been from the 28-yard line the last play of the game and not from the 12 had they not reviewed that and made that a catch. So you either had the feeling time was going to, the fourth down luck was going to run out. It wasn't luck, it was skill. They were getting it done. But they finally got it done and put it in the end zone, which was absolutely incredible. And then I really did. I thought it was going to be a tie ball game. I can't believe the last run of the game, Josh Jacobs, who had a great game running, 132 yards, career high for him, gets 7 or 8 yards on that last run. They stuffed him a couple of times, and then they get 7 or 8 yards on that last run to make it certainly a more manageable, 47-yard field goal instead of what would have been like a 55-yard field goal.
And we'll circle back and break down second by second what happened in those closing moments. But how about Justin Herbert? Listen to this. On fourth down, he was 6 for 6 for 106 yards. My calculator tells me, because I couldn't do this math myself, 17.66 infinity yards per attempt on fourth down. 17.6 yards per attempt. I mean, 17.6 is unheard of. It's unheard of in any setting. 6 passes, 6 completions, 106 yards, all on fourth down. Incredible performance from Justin Herbert. It's a damn shame. It's a damn shame that the Chargers, I don't want to say didn't win. It's just a damn shame it didn't end in a tie, but then we'd be saying it's a damn shame the Steelers didn't get in after what they did yesterday. It's the ultimate game of musical chairs. There were 2 seats and 3 asses, and the way it worked out, the Raiders and the Steelers advanced. I'll never forget last night. I know it just happened, but I'll never forget last night.
Here's the amazing thing, too, Mike. We all knew that if they tied last night, because, Staley had talked about how, didn't want to hear any of that. Who would think they would actually, kneel down all the time and play for a tie? But then all of a sudden in the Pittsburgh-Baltimore game, that went to overtime, and now everybody's trying to calculate, okay, what happens if these 2 teams tie? What's the scenario then? We knew the scenario for last night's game, but all of a sudden everybody was trying, and not me, when I say everybody, I don't mean me, because my eyes would glaze over trying to calculate that if Pittsburgh and Baltimore tied. But that got thrown in the equation until I know we'll talk about it. Pittsburgh ends up pulling that game off. But I'm with you. What a great game. You thought at first it was the Raiders that were gonna blow them out and gonna run away with them. And then the Raiders, how about finishing with 4 straight after losing 5 of the previous 6? That's why I didn't know how much you could trust them. I didn't know if you could trust them in this final game of the season, but the one person you can trust in a close game, especially at home, you can trust their kicker, because he was absolute money to finish off that game and finish off an incredible regular season.
And we really didn't know whether it was going to come down to that kick. There was a vibe, and I know it's one thing to feel it in the stadium, but sometimes you can still sense through the TV where this is heading. And as the clock was ticking and there was no real urgency and no one was using timeouts, it was beginning to feel like the teams were content to get out of there with the tie. Let's both get in. Rich Bisaccia had made the comment before the game, we're playing to win, but we want to get to the playoffs. And you think about his current job status, he's better off getting to the playoffs than going all in. Because he gets to the playoffs, it's going to be hard to not bring him back as the coach of the team. And yeah, there's a little selfish motivation there, but so be it. You get your team to the playoffs. And I know everybody said, well, they don't want to play the Chiefs again. They don't want to play the Chiefs again. Well, the Bengals beat them 32-13 this year. So it's not like that's a picnic going to Cincinnati. And, Mike, at a certain point, you got to look at this and say, wait a minute, Raiders played 70 minutes last night, and now they play Saturday. That's their reward. You play Saturday in the early game against the Bengals. If it had been a tie, you get an extra day, and you tell me how important is the extra day to get ready for a playoff game, and you go to a place where you won in the 2020 regular season, and Arrowhead Stadium. You're not in awe of the crowd. You lost there, and that was your low watermark of the season. You got blown off the field, but so what? You got blown out by the other team you may play too. You get that extra day. How is that not? And this is unprecedented for any coach, but how is that not ricocheting through Rich Bisaccia's mind as you try to figure out, do I take this tie or do I go for this win?
Yeah, listen, I'm with you. I mean, a day is a day. At this point of the season, we know everybody's body. You think Josh Jacobs could use an extra day? Dude's running with bad ribs. You think he could love an extra day of rest? Yeah, he would. But so I in all honesty, I was a little surprised at that. That out route that Carr ended up throwing to Zay Jones. I believe it was Zay. It was an unbelievable throw. That's when I thought, wow, they're going down. They're going to try and score. They're going to try and win this game. So that was a mentality, to keep playing to win the game. But, after that, then it was just run, run, run. I'd have been interested. Would they have tried the 55-yard field goal? Probably. I mean, Carlson could make it. But now you're taking a chance on a longer field, the longer field goal. The ball's got to come out lower on trajectory to make it. You take the chance of a block. I mean, Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth they just kept giggling, the last 4 minutes or so of overtime going, is this really going to happen? I mean, are they really going to play for the tie? And you heard Derek Carr at the end said we were playing to win to knock them out. And I guess they obviously were because they went down the field. But I agree with you do anything you can to get into the playoffs. If they took knees there just to make sure they got in the playoff, I would have had zero issue with it. It is all about, this is pro sports, man. You get to the playoffs. Any way that you can, you get there. And they could have got there with an extra day of rest. But it also shows the mentality, too, of players. You're out there playing, you want to win a game. And you put yourself in position to win a game, and that's exactly what they did.
And processing an unprecedented situation in real time. There's no analytics for what to do in that situation. There is now. There's one data point from last night's game. There was no prior information that could be processed on how to make decisions in that moment. So let's focus on what went down. You mentioned the throw to Zay Jones that converted the 3rd and 8 and gave the Raiders 1st and 10 from the Chargers 45. At the 2-minute warning, and obviously in overtime, there is another 2-minute warning where everything stops and the rules change. Not all of the rules, because there's automatic replay review through the entirety of overtime. So it's 1st and 10 from the Chargers 45. That's when Josh Jacobs gets stuffed for a 1-yard loss. Clock ticks down to 1:20. And during that, after the 1-yard loss, that's when we really started. And I'm going to use this metaphor of the plane is landing on a tie. That's when it really began to feel that way. You could sense it from Al and Chris. They run it again. They gain 7 yards. They get the ball to 3rd and 4, and the tick, tick, tick keeps going, and you're getting the sense we're fine with this. Fasten your seatbelts. Tray tables in the upright position. Here we go. We're landing this plane with a tie. And then as we get closer and closer, now they're not in victory formation. Some people are saying, oh, they were going to take a knee. I don't know how you take a knee out of that formation, Mike. But that's when all of a sudden everybody stops. It's like, what the hell? The Chargers took a timeout with 4 or 5 seconds on the play clock, 38 seconds on the clock. And that's when, and I was in a plane one time where it was foggy. And, it happened 3 or 4 times where you feel like the plane's landing, and they pull up. That was the moment where the plane got pulled up, when Brandon Staley took that timeout. And it kind of broke the spell. It felt like we're moving, like everybody's fine, here we go. And that timeout wiped it all clean. And the Raiders get the first down. They get in great position for the 47-yard field goal, and everything changed. I feel like that, whatever the motivation, we'll hear from both coaches. But that taking of the timeout burst the bubble on the vibe that they were both going to settle for a tie.
Well, the only thing I'll say, first, I get the Zay Jones trying to make that completion for the first down, because you don't. Now you're punting the ball back, and it's a 2-minute drill for the Chargers, so they can try and go down for the win if they want to. So, and I heard, everybody scratching their head about the timeout. I was as well. But the bottom line to me is the Raiders were still going to run another play, and they were going to run that same play they ran. They didn't do anything crazy. They ran a straight dive with Josh Jacobs. Stop them. I looked at the line of scrimmage. It would have been a 56-yard field goal had they played that run and stuffed them. So they were going to run that play, gained 8-9 yards. I mean, he put them in a way better field goal position to do that. So while I get it, while I understand it was a head scratcher on the timeout, I don't know if it would have made a difference. I don't think the play changed for the Raiders. I think it was going to be a dive. I don't think they were going to chance anything. They were going to hand the ball to Jacobs, and he gained that amount of yards. Chargers, you got to stop him, because that to me would have been the interesting play. Had they stuffed him, would they have tried a 56-yard field goal with the chance of it possibly getting blocked because of how low it came out? That I don't know, and that's something we'll never know.
Well, I think they would not have if that play would have been stopped. And again, it gets back to the mentality and the vibe coming from the field as they were getting closer and closer to the tie. I don't know, would the Chargers have made the tackle? Would Josh Jacobs have run as hard? I feel like that tie ended up being a hard reset on the vibe. And that's what, even if it's the same play call, if it's the same defense, I feel like the play gets executed differently. Once they have the timeout, they take a breather, and they realize, hey, we just need to gain 4 or 5 yards here, and we have a chance to win the game with a field goal, and we can send this team home, and we never have to worry about playing them again in the postseason. Although you're talking about 2 low seeds, the chances of them getting together were very, very slim anyway.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.